introduce the very next speaker. I mean, this profile too is giving. So the speaker, his name is Olalekan Adeeko. He's a skilled data analyst, AI learning technologist, Microsoft certified trainer, and social entrepreneur with a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science education from Nigeria's Tai Solarin University of Education. He's recognized as a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert and a Microsoft Certified Trainer, specializing in education technology and 21st century learning design. Adeeko has trained over 300 individuals in data analytics using tools like Excel, Power BI, SQL, and Python. And he's made a substantial impact as an educator and teachers across 19 states in Nigeria, Botswana, and Ghana. He has also been involved in facilitating EdTech and data in education training, overseeing initiatives like Agrotech Hackathon, TeacherX, CodeLiners, Edo Girls Can Code, Teach Right, and the STEM Her Coding and Robotics program. Adeeko's outstanding contributions to the field have been recognized with accolades, including winning the first prize Union Bank EdTech Challenge for developing EduBox, a device that bridges the education divide, and being honored with the 2020 AU Continental Teacher Prize. Olalekan Adeeko will be speaking on the thin line, exploring the pros and cons of AI application as an emerging technology. Please help me give him a typewriter clap.
Good day, every one of you. Let me first congratulate you for being here, because what you're learning at this, your own age, it's a plus, really. And I want to appreciate know the blocks, what they're doing, trying to catch you young and trying to expose you to the world of technology. And not just technology now, they're teaching you about Web 3.2, they're teaching you about blockchain, and now we're speaking about artificial intelligence. You know, some of us didn't have this opportunity while we're growing up. So once again, thank you to Know the Blocks. So I'll be speaking briefly on the thin line, exploring the pros and cons of AI application as an emerging technology. I know this is not the first time that some of you are hearing that word, artificial intelligence. You know, it's fast becoming the most spoken word in the tech world now. Before you could look here and there, before you could say Jack, you hear people talking about AI can do this. There is this new AI out there that we can use it to do this thing, we can use it to do some other thing. So what should we be doing as young ones? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? What should I be advocating for as a young person? Should we just abandon this and just turn our eyes and say, you know what, it's for the devil? Or should we just embrace it and think of ways of creatively solving a particular problem? You know, that's what we'll be discussing. But before we look at the advantages and disadvantages, let me first of all take you through that journey to explain to you what artificial intelligence is all about. You know, there are so many things that we do on a day-to-day basis, you know, often subconsciously. You know, we make predictions, we recognize patterns using information we have available at our present experience to guide us, our past experience rather, to guide us. At times, we intuitively know when something isn't quite right or doesn't fit an expected pattern. You know, we see with our eyes, we communicate by writing, by talking, even using signs. You know, we do all these things as humans. When we now have a software, an application, whether a mobile app, a web app, something, that can imitate all those things that I mentioned, the software that can imitate human capabilities. Then we are talking about artificial intelligence. When you now have software that will predict outcomes, you now have softwares that will recognize that something is not right. Maybe you have a bunch of apples and you want to remove the bad apples, and you have a system in place, like a software that can just help you sort it quickly, or you have a software that will listen to you and act based on whatever instruction you give it. That's so cool. Then we're talking about artificial intelligence. And this artificial intelligence that we are talking about, it has some areas, common areas that people have been applying artificial intelligence. And one of them is machine learning. When we talk about machine learning, you want to predict models based on data set that must have been fed in. I'll still speak on that later. We talk about anomaly detection, computer vision, and natural language processing. These are some of the common artificial intelligence areas. And recently, we now have a new one added to the list, and that is the generative AI. Now we have AI that can write something new, that can draw something new based on whatever we say, that can even create audio and video, and that belongs to the category that we call generative AI. Now let's talk about some of these one by one before I then go ahead to do a short demo. Let's start with the machine learning. Look at the image on your screen now. You have couple of flowers that have been gathered by a particular botanist. You have somebody that studied flowers or plants, and the person has gathered enough flowers, and you now feed these flowers into a particular machine learning model, and you want the machine to learn different features of these flowers. You have so many flowers and you've added them to the model. You want your machine to learn based on the features of all these flowers, so that next time you now introduce a flower, the machine will now look at it and say, this one is definitely a Bellis Ferraris, or this one is definitely an hibiscus flower. So a machine learning can learn and then make predictions based on the model. So that's machine learning. We also have another one, the second one that I mentioned earlier. We're talking about the computer vision. Yes, computer vision. Computers can now see. Now we have software that will look at different images and do classifications and say this one is a car, this one is a bus, this one is a train. You have that particular area of AI called computer vision. You analyze images. Now you have mobile phones that you just place now, and it will identify that, this is the rightful owner of the phone, and it will unlock. We're talking about computer vision, right? So you also have like driverless cars, a car that is not driven by anybody, that is just moving on the road. And the moment it encounters a barricade or an obstacle, it will stop without hitting a person or without hitting that barricade. We're talking about computer vision, ability of the computer to be able to see and pretend as if it's seeing the way we see. So computer can now imitate us and see, classify things. We're talking about computer vision. We also have the anomaly detection. Like I said earlier, take for example a company that they produce juice, and before they employed a lot of people that will start picking out the bad apples. Let's say they are producing apple juice now. They pick out the bad apples and sort it out. But now you can have a system in place that will do the sorting for you. So eliminating the use of people to do that manually. Now you have a system in place that will just come in and sort. This apple is defected. Let me throw it away. It could be something else. You now have anomaly detection. It could even be in health. So maybe you've trained, you know the normal human system or how some of our organs or parts of our body should normally look like. So when something is wrong, it can detect and tell you that bang, 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 something is wrong here. So that's also a common area of artificial intelligence. In all these that we've talked about, including the generative AI that I mentioned, that will make us talk to the computer, that will make us tell computer to write new things or draw or even come up with video. In all this, what the world is preaching now, the likes of Microsoft, UNESCO, UN, what everybody is preaching now. And that is why I so much love the topic, the thin line, the pros, the cons of using AI, is that whatever we are building should be guided by the principles of responsible artificial intelligence. And what are these principles that we're talking about? We're saying there should be what we call fairness. I've been talking about building models. I've been talking about feeding the machine with data sets so that it can consume it and then do predictions based on these data sets. If all the data that we are feeding this model is biased, there is no fairness. There won't be fairness. Take, for example, a loan approval model that discriminates by gender, definitely that particular system will be biased, and that is not fairness. So you will just be saying, the AI is saying this person is not suitable to receive loan, but it's as a result of all the biased data set that must have been fed in. So there is principle of fairness. There is also principle of reliability and safety. Okay, whatever we are building, is it safe? Is it reliable? Not that we will come up with something and we will trust it wholly. And at the end of the day, it will fail the people. I don't want to mention what happened recently. Some people went on an excursion. They wanted to see the ruins of Titanic, and somebody built something that could not even be opened from inside, and they sent them down there, and these guys sadly died. So whatever we are building should be reliable and should be safe. There should be principle of privacy and security. This is one of the problems we are facing in the world today. Privacy and security. You have people today that have made it their job to hack into people's phones or computers and all that. So data that we churn out every day, that we put on our social media, we keep here and there, could be exposed. Take, for example, an health institution that have been storing the medical records of people. If such records are out there, somebody can lash on it, work on it, create a particular model that will in turn harm the people, and start coming up with false detections and prescription, Responsible AI too, there is what we call the principle of inclusiveness, the solution that works for everybody, not just for the whites, not just for the blacks, not just for the Americans or the global West, but for everybody with inclusiveness, something that works for everyone, takes care of people with different disabilities. That's what we're talking about. There should be principle of transparency. We should come up with something that is transparent without hidden agenda. These are some of the principles that we should be promoting now. And then the last one here, accountability. Who is liable for AI-driven decision? Accountability. So whatever we are building, whatever we are promoting that has to do with AI should meet these 6 principles of responsible AI. If not, we are liable to some of the risk of the AI implementation. And some of these risks are like the automation bias, when the system is biased and it's now leading to negative impacts on decision making. We don't want that. Yes, there is risk of potential job losses. So that means we all as well should start improving on our skills and then try and see how we can leverage AI to help us, because it will kind of give us that wings to be able to levitate, Risk of AI implementation too, we talk about the increased dependency. Many people are now overly dependent on AI. Some people can't even think again. Let me just send it to AI. So that will affect us in the long run. And the last one here, there is still that dark spot, the unpredictability of the AI. There is still, people are still saying, maybe in the future, something will happen. There is still that concern. And I already mentioned the privacy and security concern as well. So these are some of the concerns. They are real. But even with all that, we should be thinking of how to use it responsibly. And a lot of emerging industries are using AI. We use AI in healthcare. AI can now predict cancer even faster than the best of doctors out there. It can help us come up with solutions to some of the diseases and ailments that we've been suffering for decades without solutions. It's helping the retail and e-commerce now. We now have chatbots. People put chatbots on their sites. You want to buy something, you see something pop up, hello, how can I help you? As if you are interacting with human. You have all these, and even autonomous vehicle, like I mentioned, we have driverless cars, we have driverless, I learned some people are building driverless airplane, and here and there. So these are some of the things that we can be thinking about when we talk about the use of AI. So I would say AI is here to stay. It's not the agent of devil or antichrist or something. So people are saying that now. So AI is here to stay. And just like every other thing, it has its pros and cons. But it is now our own responsibility to be the advocate of responsible use of AI. Whatever we're doing, whatever they are doing in organization we find ourselves, let's be that advocate of saying, what all the things we are doing, are they fair? Are they safe? Are they reliable? Is there accountability there? So these are some of the things that we should be talking about. So right now, I will do a small demo. I'll do a small demo and then show us how we can use some of these tools out there. I'll just show us like one or two. I'll show us how to use two. Let me just show us how to use two. The first one is like the first one is one of my favorite, right? And I'm sure maybe some of you've heard of it. And that is what we call the Chat GPT from OpenAI. So this is a generative AI that we can ask it questions and it will give us feedback. As you are now, students, they asked you to write a short essay on the use of blockchain. So I can just come here and say, write a short essay of, let's say, 3 paragraphs on the use of blockchain. I've written something here. If I hit enter now, look at what is happening. AI is helping me to write it. So it's writing paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, based on the instruction that I gave it. So it came up with this idea. It helped me to write. If I wanted to solve mathematical problem, I would tell it to solve mathematical problem. It can do it for me. Let me even do one demo here before I go ahead to probably do something else and tell it to come up with a picture. I can actually tell it to help me write a storybook. Let me just pick that and say, write a short story using Nigerian names on teaching with technology. Maybe I just put something like this. I asked it to write a short story, right? Let's wait and see what will happen. So he's thinking, he's trying to think, trying to come up with the story. He's trying to help me out to write the story. Look at it, it's writing the story, and it will tell me that it has helped me to publish the story somewhere. so that I can then see the story and I can go ahead and say, you know what, this is the story. So it's saying, I'm done with the story. You know, it's still saying it may take 15 to 20 minutes to generate the image. It's saying if I want to see my story, that I can just come here and check my story. So wait and see the storybook written by the AI. He called it the digital journey. Just now, digital journey, and look at the storybook. Look at my story. So I can click a page, look at it. Once upon a time in a small village in Nigeria, there lived a passionate and dedicated teacher named Chinwe, you know. And if I click now, look at what it's doing. This is my storybook, done in a few seconds as a result of with the use of artificial intelligence. You know, see my storybook that I can then say, oh, I want to publish it on Amazon and all that. So you can use